All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the Bitcoin private coin and its general pump lately. So I actually noticed myself mining this coin on Awesome Miner. So when you use Awesome Miner, you can either mine a very specific coin or you can mine a very unspecific algorithm such as Equihash, and it will mine Zcash, Zclassic, all kinds of coins, Bitcoin Gold, and now Bitcoin Private. So I don't know exactly when it was added to Mining Pool Hub, which is what I usually connect to with my Awesome Miner. It may have been on there for a little while, yet the price wasn't high enough to actually achieve profitability, and therefore my miner never switched to it. But either way, I've been mining it lately. And so what is Bitcoin Private? So if you've never heard of Bitcoin Private, it is basically a Z Classic technology, or Zcash, where it uses privacy and anonymity. So both the sender and receiver and the amount can be obscured on the blockchain so nobody can really find it. So it's evident that Bitcoin lacks privacy and anonymity traits. Although some government officials like to label Bitcoin as anonymous, it is anything but. Instead, users achieve some degree of pseudo-anonymity when using the world's largest or leading currency. But that is far from the same as being as anonymity. Adding more privacy-centric elements to Bitcoin is certainly possible, although it will not be easy whatsoever. Various developers are contemplating borrowing elements from Monero to achieve that goal in the future. So, until that happens, we will most likely see hard forks which offer some privacy upgrades. Bitcoin Private is a perfect example of how things will most likely evolve in this regard. It is a brand new coin, hard fork, which uses the same privacy technology that's found in Z Classic these days. So more specifically, the fork will use ZK snarks to achieve privacy, even though it still comes nowhere close to actually being a privacy-oriented currency. Optional privacy is good, but some people will look for something more than that. Additionally, Bitcoin Private will serve as a peer-to-peer form of digital currency in which no intermediaries are involved, a cryptocurrency. Transactions will be broadcast and verified by nodes, cryptocurrency, before they are passed along to miners for final approval. And there will be a slightly bigger block size compared to Bitcoin, which will be some interest to users all over the world. After all, Bitcoin has major scaling issues, and they won't be resolved overnight without some major shakeups. However, that is being worked on. So what is rather remarkable about Bitcoin Private Fork is that the BTCP tokens will not be issued to Bitcoin users themselves. Instead, this airdrop will occur on a one-to-one basis with Bitcoin Cash and Z-Classic holders. So it is a rather interesting approach. So however much Bitcoin Cash and Z-Classic you have, but the fork already happened. This article is a little bit old. It's from January. But it does kind of tell what Bitcoin Private is. As is usually the case when a new fork is announced, no exchange has officially confirmed support of it yet, and we'll get into that in a second here. So that's not unusual, as there are still a lot of aspects of this new fork which have yet to be clarified. Whether or not any major exchanges will support this airdrop moving forward remains to be seen, so that's another thing that you'd have to consider as well. Other forks have been called off due to a lack of exchange support. And although its website claims that it has a team of 50-ish contributors on the project, there are still issues to be resolved on GitHub. For example, it is unclear if there will be a hardware wallet support, a proper wallet, proper mining difficulty adjustments, and so forth. So none of that really got worked out at the time of this article. So all these issues can be resolved over time. So let me show you here. So the fork will arrive, it did arrive rather on, I believe, February 28th, so it's scheduled to occur on February 28th, 2018, so whatever Z Classic you had, or Bitcoin Cash at the time, how you actually got the fork, what exchanges and where you could get that airdrop, it is somewhat uncertain to me at the moment, because since it's already passed anywhere, it's February 28th. So what we're seeing lately is a pretty big pump, and we'll get into that here. Even though some people are convinced Bitcoin Private is a superior version of Bitcoin on the market today, some people, most people consider it just another altcoin, which will eventually lose momentum and be all but forgotten about. Whether or not that means the Bitcoin Private will see a massive correction in the future remains to be determined. So as of right now, BTCP, I really like that, BTCP, bam, you can just really say that quick. So the value of rising quite sharply for no apparent reason. So more specifically, we have seen Bitcoin private price rise from 24 to 43 bucks in the span of 7 days. This was written April 21st, which is about 9 days ago. So we'll take a look at that price a little bit ago too. So it is a currency with nearly no trading volume, unique features or purposes just like 90% of altcoins. As such, it is evident that this currency is riding the coattails of a Bitcoin first and foremost. So even so, the Bitcoin private price managed to increase by 21.26% over the past 24 hours, an impressive gain. Even if it is entirely based on market manipulation, this upward trend has also made possible thanks to BTCP gaining basically 15% over Bitcoin itself. So we have seen most altcoins go through a similar trend this past week. Thus, it is somewhat normal to follow that example. So what is rather abnormal, however, is how the Bitcoin private price gained so much value with virtually no trading volume. It is a telltale sign of market manipulation, as virtually no one is seemingly interested in buying or selling BTCP as of right now. So over the past 24 hours, this altcoin noted just 1.2 million in trade volume, which is absolutely atrocious for a currency with a market cap of nearly 800 million. So it seems Trade Satoshis is the go-to place when it comes to trading Bitcoin private, along with Nanex. Both of these trading platforms combined represent nearly 87% of all the trades, even though it is unclear why anyone would buy BTCP at this current price. Manipulating smaller exchanges is a lot easier than ensuring Bitcoin private gains any real traction. However, how all of this will play out for the Bitcoin private price in the long run remains unclear at this stage. While no one will deny this uptrend is quite impressive, all of the other contributing factors paint a rather worrisome picture. It seems to be a matter of time until Bitcoin private price returns to more normal levels, and dip to 25 or lower is not out of the questions by any means. So let's take a look at the Bitcoin private price here. So this is kind of interesting. So it actually forked on February 28th. However, this chart only goes back to March 10th, which makes sense because it does take some time to actually get listed on CoinMarketCap and to basically be released upon the world. It does take quite a while to do that. So immediately the price of it went up to, let's say about $83, maybe a little bit higher there, and then pretty much tanked to and tanked for a while. And mind you, this wasn't a good period for crypto in the first place. This was when it was just a month just before this, or maybe two, that Bitcoin was at like $6,000. So this was actually a really bad time for crypto. So it went up in price quite a bit, probably because it was good and pumped somewhere on perhaps some exchange. And there was of course that always initial pump. And then we went down because everybody realized that Bitcoin's at like $6,000. I actually don't know the price of Bitcoin at this period of time. I could just bring up Bitcoin as well. But either way, it was very low. And so all coins were essentially going down. So this coin went down too. So that's no surprise. And we got down to 14 bucks or so. And we have seen a few little pumps here and there. So we went up at the beginning of April, and we're starting to go up from when and you can even see that much more trading volume start to occur here now that the market is up quite a bit. We had this big spike here, and if we just kind of zoom in a little bit, we may have to go out back a little bit further. Sometimes you can never just get it in on the right place that you want it. Right there. It spiked to $77.95 for a very short period of time that looks like just probably a few hours or so, and then went back right down to that 40 bucks. But ever since then, interestingly enough, it has stayed much higher than that, and it wasn't just but a few days ago that we dipped to 30, and now we're starting to see this big uptick. And let's bring it to 1 day, you can probably see it a little bit better, from 32 to 42, which doesn't seem like too much. I mean, $10, right? But when you consider that is a pretty impressive amount, that's nearly 50% increase in the past little bit of time here. So we're at a 19% now. But if you consider about $30 to $45, it would be about 50%. But so 32 to 42, and it's way up. So it is interesting why people are pumping this. And again, it's not surprising to me because it is another altcoin. But what is surprising to me is that this coin has been out for many months now. Normally, a very strange altcoin or obscure coin will come out, and then it'll be sort of a flat line for a little bit, and then you'll see something like this, but in reverse. Like, you'll see this huge spike, and then it'll go down from there, and from this spike, it'll just infinitely go down and pretty much never really go anywhere, because it was a coin that was never meant to go anywhere. And, you know, that's a shame, but of course that's just the way the market works. If you didn't create a good coin, well, it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't have good marketing, whatever. Something about it pumped and dumped it. But this coin appears to be actually going up and struggling to stay up there. So it's very weird, the pumping on Bitcoin Private. So if you are mining on Awesome Miner and you're connected to Mining Pool Hub, maybe many other mining pools might do that, but I only know for sure on Mining Pool Hub, from time to time you will spot a little bit of Bitcoin Private now in your wallet. On Mining Pool Hub, on your holding wallet before you send it out. It does not auto-exchange, so it goes into your normal wallet on Mining Pool Hub and just kind of sits there until you move it out. So you would have to move it out to an exchange, and we have some exchanges up here, and they don't trade much, to be totally honest. So Trade Satoshi is pretty much the go-to place, and Nanex. They are relatively even. Trade Satoshi beats it out by a decent margin. And then everything else before that is just really low on volume and liquidity. So Octex and Trade Ogre is way down. They're only $7,000 ever traded, so that might even get removed from Trade Ogre one of these days. But Trade Satoshi is trading an okay amount of them, and for a pretty decent price. In fact, a little bit higher than what we see now. And so we may have gone down just a scotch, but it is looking pretty good, interestingly enough. Although we might just see a total crash in this price. So I don't really recommend going out and buying a ton of Bitcoin Private, because we might see it go to the moon. It may go to the moon. It's a flip of a coin at this point, although I think the tails losing side is a little bit weighted, if you ask me. So I think it may go down after this. But it's interesting to see why people are pumping this, and if anybody is actually using this, or if everybody is just market manipulating it and will move on sooner or later. But it has been quite a while since it's out, so why are we still poking the stick at this $30, $40 coin to pump when they could be pumping much different coins? So that's a good question. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time.